So what is panim and achor, front and back, or pnimiut and chitzoniut, internal and external? So mystically speaking, these terms always are referring to the goal relative to the means. That something that is pnimiut, something that is pnimi, is the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate desire. What is chitzoniut? What is external? External is all of the things that I need to do in order to get to the ultimate goal. Yeah? So for example, the pnimiut of the ratzon, the internal will. Pnimiut ratzon literally translates to internal will, internal desire. You have an internal desire and you have an external desire. Pnimiut ratzon, chitzoniut ratzon. What's pnimiut ratzon? Pnimiut ratzon is I want to make a sandwich. That's pnimiut ratzon. I want to make a sandwich. So if that's the pnimiut ratzon, what's chitzoniut ratzon? What's the external desire? What's the external will? Well, what do I need to do to make the sandwich? Oh, so, depending on what era you lived in, so once upon a time you had to plow the field, and then you had to sow the wheat, and then you had to water it and wait for the rains, right? And then to harvest and to thresh and to separate, and the 11 different types of labor that the Mishnah says is necessary to go from ground to bread. Yeah? From seed to table, to be able to make hamotzi and to actually eat bread. So, Baruch Hashem, now you just have to go down to the store. But that still means you have to do something to go get the bread. First of all, you have to have a job. You gotta earn some money. You gotta earn some bread. Yeah? Now you can take that money and you can go to the store and you can buy some bread, and some mayo and mustard and whatever it is that you like, and then you can come home and then you can make the sandwich. And then you can make the sandwich, and then you can eat the sandwich. So your original intention, what was the ultimate goal? The ultimate intention was the sandwich. That's the pnimiut of the ratzon. What's the chitzoniut of ratzon? What's the external? Everything that I need to do to be able to get to that. That's not really what I want, but something I need to do to get to what I want. Yeah? Pnimiut of ratzon is I want to earn money. What's the chitzoniut of ratzon? I gotta get a job. I wish money grew on trees, but it doesn't. So if I want money, that's my ultimate intention, that's my ultimate goal. So what's the chitzoniut of ratzon? I have to get a job. If I want money, what do I need to do to earn money, to get money? Yeah? I can either go ask people for money, or I can earn money, or whatever it is. But the point is, if I could just have the internal ratzon right now, then that would be wonderful, but I can't. So there's the process, there's the means to the end. There's what I have to do to get through to where I actually want to be. Does that make sense? Pnimiut ratzon versus chitzoniut ratzon. Pnimiut ratzon is what you really want, the ultimate intention. Chitzoniut ratzon is what do I have to do to get to that? So now apply this to God. God has pnimiut ratzon, the pnimiut of the keter, right? Coming from Adam Kadmon, coming from the highest roots of creation. What's the pnimiut of ratzon? What's the chitzoniut of ratzon? What's the pnimiut ratzon? What is the ultimate intention of the infinite light of the Creator? That's called mitzvahs. The pnimiut ratzon, the internal, the most ultimate purpose, the ultimate goal of what the Creator wants is the mitzvah. So if the pnimiyut ratzon, the most internal mitzvah is for the mitzvah, why is it the mitzvah? Because in the mitzvah, it is the greatest connection and expression, experience that anything can have with the Creator.
Sounds like zivug is the pnimius.
That's already getting into the mechanics. But first of all, we're understanding the keter. Before the zivug, first of all, what do I want? A person always has to ask them, what do I want? Right? What's your why? What are you about? What do you get up in the morning for? What's your pnimiyut ratzon? What is your motivating desire, your ultimate goal? What do you want? Yeah? And then you ask, okay, so now that I know what I want, right? So this is like Kabbalistic coaching, right? So I went to coaching school. I got a nice certificate on the wall. Yay. So what do they teach you? Life coaching. Very first thing you have to do, make a goal. Where do you want to go? You have to make a goal, and you have to make it a SMART goal. What's a SMART goal? What are SMART goals?
Measurable.
SMART.
Yeah.
S stands for specific, right? I want to lose weight is not a SMART goal. I want to lose 15 pounds. That is a SMART goal. That's a specific goal, right? Specific. Mem is mem. M is measurable. Can I measure it? Yeah? Can I measure 15 if I lose 15 pounds? Obviously, right? I know what I started out with. I know what I am now. I can measure the progress. I can see how far I am. There's points of progress that I can measure. Yeah? A is attainable, right? Is it something, right? I want to go to the moon. Maybe, yeah. I want to go to Venus. Not exactly attainable. Maybe think of something a little bit better, but possibly, but
Vegas.
Yeah.
Right away.
R is realistic. Yeah, realistic. Do you have what it takes do you have the means to be able to do that? Yeah. Like if you're working 18 hours a day, yeah, you may not have time to like build a house in the next like month. It's not realistic. Yeah. Set a different goal. And then time. T is time, meaning set a period of time to reach that goal. This is your deadline. This is what you're doing, right? Just kind of like throwing that, like it's not a goal. So in life coaching class, of course, first thing, set a goal. What do you want? Be very clear about it. Make it as clear as possible. See it, feel it, mamish, make it as specific as possible. Yeah. Now you know what you want. Oh, now I know what do I need to do to get there. That's the second phase of life coaching. Now that you know what you want, now you try and figure out what do I need to do? What are the action steps that I need to take to actually get to where I want to go? Yeah? And it doesn't seem so abstract and doesn't seem so, impossible enough. Now you have actual action steps to do. So you got to know first what you want. So Kabbalistically speaking, yeah, absolutely. The keter, the pnimiyut ratzon, what do you want? Everything else will follow that initial want, that initial desire. What do you want? Yeah? So if we ask God, so what does God want? What is the infinite oneness, the infinite essence? What is it? What is the pnimiyut ratzon? Yeah? Pnimiyut ratzon is for you to do a mitzvah. It's for you to do a mitzvah. Why? Because what happens when you do a mitzvah? It is the closest, most essential, most powerful way of experiencing the Creator that Nothing else in creation can come close to the connection that you have with that infinite light, with that infinite source, when you're doing a mitzvah. Yeah, that like rolls up into one, all the three different opinions of the purpose of creation. Zohar says, what's the purpose of creation? According to Zohar, that they should know me. Ishtamuda anle, that they should know me. Zohar. Along comes the Arizal, says, what's the purpose of creation? So that his midot will be revealed. So that his characteristics, his attributes will be revealed. Yeah? As a mighty God, as a compassionate God, Be'u Rachum, right? All the midas that we call Hashem. Along comes the Baal Shem Tov and says, what's the purpose of creation? Baal Shem Tov says, oh yeah, there's a midrash. You may have kind of read it before, but you don't really kind of think about it. The midrash says, Dira b'tachtonim, dwelling place for God in the world. All three of those are essentially one thing, and they all culminate when you do a mitzvah. That's the pnimiyut ratzon, that to know God, to be able to connect in the most essential way, is through a mitzvah. That's essentially what a mitzvah means. It literally means to connect. Yeah, that's the pnimiyut ratzon. So that's the pnimiyut ratzon. For you to do a mitzvah, what's the chitzoniyut ratzon? Now that you know what you want, we know God knows what He wants, right? God went to he got a good coacher. Coach sat with God. I know all the Sephardic rabbis are going to burn me for this, but they're very particular about. God went to a good coacher. Coacher sat down with God, says, God, what do you want? Be clear about what you want. God's like, I want someone to do a mitzvah. That's the way I'm going to be able to connect to them in the deepest way possible. That's what I want. I want a mitzvah. Good. Now you've established you want somebody to do a mitzvah. Okay. Next step. What action steps do you need to take to be able to get to somebody to be able to do a mitzvah? God kind of thinks about it and says, well, I guess I got to create the world. I got to create like the universe, the reality, be able to like diminish my light, conceal my light so that, living beings will be able to exist. They will have the perception of self, duality, fragmentation, have to be able to live in a world where there is, choice and all that stuff. That's chitzoniyut ratzon. What's chitzoniyut ratzon? God says, I need the world to exist so that you can do a mitzvah. I need the world to exist so that you can do a mitzvah. What's the ultimate goal? To do the mitzvah.
Unified with God?
That's the mitzvah. When you are doing the mitzvah, you are unified with God in a way that you could not do any other way. Anything but a mitzvah will only allow you to experience an emanation of light. Everything within created reality, everything within this tzimtzum, the way we understand reality to exist, that there is this framework, there is this closed framework. Everything that exists within that, all godliness that exists within this framework, all the different dimensions and realities and spiritual levels and light and cosmic forces that exist, all those are only emanations of light, rays of light. It's not the light itself. It's not the light itself. Along come the Kabbalists and are like, you want the light itself? Mitzvah. The mitzvah connects, merges you with the light itself. That's the pnimiyut ratzon, no holds barred, unadulterated, unconcealed, unfiltered connection to the light itself, not rays of the light. Everything else is just rays of the light. It's not the light itself. Mitzvah. That's the pnimiyut ratzon. God says, I want them to collect not to rays of my light. I don't want them to connect to spiritual light, to have spiritual levels. No, I want them to connect to the essence of me, to the essence of my light. Pnimiyut Ratzon. How do I do that? Mitzvah. So what do I have to do to be able to allow them to connect to me in the deepest way? Oh, now I have to create a world, I have to create the universes, I have to create all these emanations, these rays of light to allow them to exist, to allow the world to exist. And now that they exist, now they can do a mitzvah. So what's the ultimate goal? The mitzvah. Connecting to the essence of the light itself. What's the chitzoniyut ratzon? The world, everything else. Everything else in the world is only for you to be able to do the mitzvah. That's why it says in the times of Mashiach, there will be world peace. There will be abundance. Why? Why would there be world peace and abundance in the Geula? Why do we need world peace and abundance? So you can do a mitzvah. And you don't have to worry about having to go to work. And you don't have to worry about now having to do anything in the physical world. Now you can just do mitzvahs all day. Yeah, if you're so busy in the rat race, you got to work, you got to eat, you're bothered with the chaos of the world. Well, that hinders your ability to do mitzvahs. So what's the Geula? What's the ultimate redemption? Living in a state where nothing is preventing you from doing a mitzvah. Where the entire world will awaken to the consciousness that their sole purpose in creation is to help you do a mitzvah. That's the purpose of their existence. 8 billion people in the world created to help you do a mitzvah. I mean, they have mitzvahs too, but their ultimate goal, to help you do a mitzvah. And they will do everything that they possibly can to help you do a mitzvah, because all living beings will know what kind of effect that has in the world when you do a mitzvah. The Gemara says that if the nations knew how much it was in their benefit to have the temple, they would literally make a ring around it of humans to protect it. They don't have that consciousness now. Now they don't see that.
We don't know how to tell them.
What?
There's nobody that knows how to hear.
That's right. We don't know how to tell them that. But nonetheless, the ultimate goal of creation is that you will have everything that you need to be able to do a mitzvah. There will not be any obstacles. There won't be any challenges to do a mitzvah. The entire world will come to help you to be able to do the mitzvah, because they will see that when you do that mitzvah, what kind of cosmic transformation is happening every time you do that mitzvah. So that's the Pnimiyut Ratzon, that's the Chitzoniyut Ratzon. So that's called being a Merkava. They're being a Merkava that now, currently, sometimes you're a Merkava, and well, that's not true. You're always a Merkava. The question is, what are you a Merkava for? Remember, infinite light, one source. One source. There's not good and evil, and they're good angels versus bad angels. That's not our thing, right? War in heaven between that, no, right? Rebellious angels and no. God is the only sole authority that exists. And the infinite light now flowing from the infinite oneness of God now flows into two tracks. It flows into a track called Kedusha, and it also flows into a track called Klipa, or Sitra Achra. Sitra Achra literally means the other side. There's Kedusha, meaning the infinite light is manifesting into the world through Kedusha. Kedusha is like the filter that is taking the infinite light and bringing Kedusha light into the world, manifesting into the world, which is divine awareness and unity consciousness of the source. Or that light is not going through the track of Kedusha, but now it's going through the track of the other side, which is Klipa, And that energy now that is manifesting through the track of Klipa is now the opposite. That's further fragmenting consciousness. That's further creating duality and separation and more egotistical, the really nasty part of ego, which is like jealousy and anger and hatred and intolerance and all the things we don't like about ego. So at any given moment, we are a Merkava. We are a chariot for light. Because you couldn't exist without the light. Question is, what are you a chariot for? Are you receiving light from the Kedusha? Or are you receiving light from Sitracha, from the other side? Before Kabbalah, there were like 3 tracks. There was Kedusha, there was Klipa, and then there was like Parv. It was like neutral. You're not doing good, you're not doing bad, you're just neutral. Yeah. Along come the Kabbas and they're like, there's no neutral. It's either Kedusha or it's either Klipa. What's it saying? If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. That's Kabbalah. At any given moment, every thought that you think, everything that you say, everything that you do, is either drawing Kedusha energy, and you are a Merkava for the Kedusha light, or you are a Merkava for Klipa. There's no in between. Yeah? When a person really starts to understand this, when a person really starts to integrate this into their consciousness, it empowers them to tap into into strength and koach they never thought possible before. Because now it's life or death. Because now everything is on the line. Now everything matters. When you're in battle, when you're on the battlefield, it's either you or them. There's no in between. I remember there's a scene in Saving Private Ryan, maybe? You guys remember that movie? There's a scene where like one of the soldiers, like 2 of the soldiers, they go into this house, and he goes up the stairs, and he's clearing the house, and then like a Nazi German soldier comes in, and then they like start fighting like hand-to-hand combat, right? And the Nazi overpowers him, right? And he takes out his knife, and he's like starting to like slowly like overpower. He's like trying to hold him back, but he's like slowly like putting the knife in. And the soldier's just like, wait, stop. Like, let's talk about this. Just stop. Just stop. Wait. Wait. He says wait. I think that's like what he said. I don't know, right? But the German's not waiting. He's like, no. He's pushing the knife slowly into the guy's chest until he's dead. It's not like stop, wait, let's talk about it. It's either Kedusha or it's either Klipa. It's life or death. You're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. Either you are making this world a place of light and of righteousness and of goodness and of godliness, or you are not. Or you're making this a place for Klipa. That's how the Kabbalists are teaching us how a person needs to think. Because if you think like that, you're going to wake up like a warrior. You're going to wake up like a lion, which is what the Shulchan Aruch says that we need to be doing. Right? How do I wake up like a lion in the morning? When you know it's a life or death situation. When my life is on the line. When the weight of the world, the fate of the world, depends on me today. If I don't get out of bed, God forbid what might happen to the world. Yeah, I have that sense of responsibility, that sense of accountability, and I'm not on the sidelines anymore. I'm not in the sidelines. There's the tzaddikim, there's like the big guys, they're like, they're the ones that are changing the world. They're the ones that are illuminating divine light into the world. Yeah? And then there's like the wicked guys. There's like, the real Russias, the real people that are just like, oh, all those guys they're just like living klipa, right? Me? I'm just a normal, regular guy. Yeah? You're a normal, regular guy? Then sometimes you'll fall, sometimes this, sometimes that. Along come the Kabbalists and like, no, you're not a normal guy. You are a warrior. You have to be a warrior in this world. That if you are not going to make this world a dwelling place for the divine, if everything that you think, say, and do is not bringing more godliness into this world, then you are doing just the opposite. That's what the Gemara says. In every generation that the temple is not built, it's as if it was destroyed in that generation. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. That the Gemara said 2,000 years ago. If you live in a generation that the temple is not built, then it's as if you live in a generation that it was destroyed. Yeah? Don't think the temple was destroyed 2,000 years ago in Tish B'Av, the 9th of Av, where we all sit on the floor and what are you crying about? Oh, the temple was destroyed 2,000 years ago. Wrong! That's not what you're crying about. What are you crying about? You're crying about that the temple was destroyed today. On this day, right now, can you imagine transporting yourself 2,000 years ago to see the bloodshed, the genocide, the horror of the Roman army killing your family, killing everyone you know? Literally a Holocaust. Destroying everything that is holy and sacred to you. Happened on this day. Today, not 2,000 years, today that happened. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Yeah. Kol dor shelo nivna bet hamikdash. Every generation the temple was not built, it's as if it was destroyed in that generation. Meaning if I'm not building the temple, I'm part of the reason that it was destroyed. Why was the temple destroyed? That everybody knows. Every child knows that. Why was the temple destroyed? Sinat chinam, sinat chinam, sinat chinam, sinat chinam. What does sinat chinam mean? Baseless hatred, senseless hatred, right? Free hate. Right? It's a nice bumper sticker. Free hate. Right? People are like, free love. Free love, so passe. Free hate. Oh, free hate. What destroyed the temple? Free hate, senseless hatred. So what does that mean? Last time I checked, I turn on the news every day just to see if the temple has been built today. I looked at CNN this morning, no temple. So what is that telling me? We still live in a world of senseless hatred. We still live in a world where free hate exists. Well, okay, so we learned a little bit of Kabbalah, we learned a little about, right? Hate is an emotion. Yeah? Where does the emotion come from? Come on, you guys are all master Kabbalists by now. What generates emotion? What? Zeranpin is the emotion. What gives Zeranpin the mochin? What generates the emotion? The what? The Bina and Chokhmah, Chokhmah and Bina, which is the mother and father, which is called the intellect, the mind. Right? What generates the emotions? The mind generates the emotions. Meaning, why do we live in a world of hatred? Why is this turning off again? And I guess the world's just not ready for this. Why do we live in a world of sensuous hatred? Because obviously we're thinking of things that are causing the hatred, meaning our mind, our consciousness is creating the hatred. It's creating the animosity. It's creating the jealousy. It's creating the fear. It's creating the intolerance. So what is the principal factor of the mind that is generating that? Fragmented consciousness. How can I hate? Only if I feel that you are something that is separate and disconnected from me. Yeah? I don't hate myself.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not getting into like the whole, you know, I'm not getting into like, you know, therapy here, self-help
That's
therapy.
kind of are you recording again?
I'm trying to. Let's see if we can get this back on. But it's
That's at the core. Feeling yourself as separate from God. People don't hate others unless they have some.
Okay, fine. I get
That's
that.
Separation from divinity.
I get that. But the point is, it's coming from separation.
Yeah.
That hatred only exists because of separation. It's kind of interesting. I thought about this before. That the word for Hebrew, the Hebrew word for love. Let's see. What's the Hebrew word for love? What? Ahava. Why? What? Come on. Oh. Ahava. Right? How do I spell Ahava? Aleph. Aleph Hey. Bet Hey. Aleph. Let's do it in red. Let's do it in and we have, whoa. Aleph, hey, bet, hey, right? Ahava, Hebrew word for love. What is the numerical value of ahava?
13.
Right, 1, 5, 2, 5 equals 13. Mystics say, if you have the same word that has the same numerical value as another word, then they both have the same meaning. What other word has the same numerical value as 13? The Hebrew word for one. Echad. Yeah, which means one. 1, 8, 4. Yeah? You guys with me?
Yeah.
4 plus 8 plus 1 equals 13. Right? One love. One love. One heart. So unity equals love. When do you have love? When you feel connected. When you were one. Yeah? So I started thinking, okay, so for one, unity, love, ahava, equals oneness. So then what's the opposite? What's hatred? How do you say hatred in Hebrew? Sina. How do you spell sina? It's a tricky one. We'll say si-na. Not shena, sina. Oh, I'm sorry, what's the aleph, right? Sina. Yeah? That's how you spell sina. Sin, nun, aleph. Yeah? If you want to do it, let's do it with the yud. Doesn't matter, I'm not going to take the gematria anyway. But sin-a. This is the root of the word sina. Hatred. Right? Sinat chinam. Hate. What is sinam? Like, where do I know that word from? Where do I know that word from? Yeah? Not from Sinai.
China?
Sinai was a sin.
Where Corona was?
No. Well, if you look at the Gemara, there's a term that the Gemara uses quite often. Yeah? And that's with an ayin. Ma. My shna. My shna. Common Gemaric Talmudic phrase. What does my shna mean? It literally means what? What is different?
Shonet.
Shoneh.
Sina, hatred. Different.
That's right.
Wow.
Where does the root of hatred come from? It comes from differences. Shoneh. When something is different, then hatred can exist. But when you are one, when you are connected together, then there is love. Are you guys hearing this? Does this make sense? Yeah? Maishna, what is different? Shoneh is the same letters as the word for sina. Difference and hatred, they are synonymous.
Explain the whole Gemara. It's about that.
Okay? It's about making peace between the differences. But resolving the...
Laying out the differences.
Okay. But that's exactly what it is. So what do you say? So I talk to birthrights and they say, you know what? If the root cause of what is the root cause of why the world looks the way it does, and sometimes people they say people. It's because of people, right? And I'm like, okay, so that means just get rid of the people and then everything will be fine, right? But assuming you actually wanted to have a world with people in it, yeah. How do you get past the differences? Yeah? Hashem created the world so that there will be diversity. There will be differences. What is our goal? Our goal is not to all become one thing. We're not communists where you have to look the same thing, dress the same way, be the same person. No, you don't have to dress the same way. That's not the point. The point of why ultra-Orthodox Hasidic people dress the way they do is only to be able to distinguish themselves from everybody else. It's a way of defense. It's a defense mechanism. Yeah. When you put on if you get pulled over by a cop, he wears a uniform. You go into the surgical room, he's got a uniform, right? Everybody's got a uniform. You know what that person's job description is. You know what they're right? So when you see a guy that looks like that, you know what he stands for. You know what he's supposed to be about. Supposed to be about. Not just the hat. Anybody can buy a hat and grow a beard. But what you're supposed to represent, what you're supposed to look at. The Jewish dress, doesn't matter if it's a hat or if it's not a hat, but the kippah, the tzitzit, the whole beard thing. What's the purpose? The purpose is to distinguish yourself from everybody else so that when people see you, they'll be like, I know what that person stands for. I know what their vision is on. It's like the reason you put a logo. Every good company has got a brand. You got to brand yourself, right? Because when you see the brand, you know what the vision behind the brand is. You know what they stand for. Yeah? So we got to brand ourselves too. But the point is not to all be the same. If you went back 2,000 years ago or even less, not everybody dressed the same. Not everybody dressed the same. And it's okay. God wants there to be diversity. God wants there to be differences. But not to make those differences cause hatred. What does Hashem want? To be able to take that unity and love and to bring that into the duality. To be able to see how all living beings are all these beautiful and unique creatures, but to all have this unity consciousness to see how everything is all expressing the one divine will. That's our goal. Yeah? To bring the unity into the duality. Not to go back into the world, to transcend the duality and to go back up to the unity. How did I get to that? Ahava? Oh yeah, sinat chinam. So we're living in a generation where right now, our consciousness is creating the anger, the hatred, the jealousy, the intolerance. And so everything that we are learning, everything in all of these books, is all going back to the root cause of how do we make this world a dwelling place for God? Unity. 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 It's always going back to the root. What is the root of creation? Do not fall into the illusion of the duality of creation, to the differences as being independent existing beings unto themselves. But there is one cause, there is one initial primary cause that is projecting, that is creating, sustaining, and manifesting all the diversity of life into creation every moment. That's the one infinite light of the Creator, one God. That's everything that we keep learning about. That's everything that we keep trying to bring into our consciousness. It's all of Torah on one leg, according to the mystics. how do you start to reprogram your mind to be able to see the diversity of the world through the lens of the oneness of God? And so I'm continuously working on becoming a Merkava. A Merkava is bringing this light in. It's bringing this consciousness in, that I'm either bringing that unity consciousness, meaning I am always in a state of perception that everything is the unique expression of the divine, and that I'm always in a state of alignment with it, or I am actually now interested in what's happening in the physical world, and now the pizza, so to speak, has an independent existence unto itself. And now I'm worshiping idols. That's called idolatry. You're either worshiping idols or you're not. There's no in between. You're not just a regular guy. You're either worshiping the one God, you're either connecting to the one infinite source of all things, or you're worshiping idols. No in between. And so when you think about it like that, whoa. Now it's serious. Now I get up in the morning, now I'm a warrior. Now there's meaning to everything that I do. Yeah? If only Viktor Frankl knew how much meaning there was to his existence, which was actually fascinating. It's a fascinating story because Viktor Frankl was absolutely ridiculed amongst his colleagues. I don't know if you guys know this. Everybody know who Viktor Frankl is? Yeah, logotherapy. He was an Auschwitz survivor, very secular Jew, right, atheistic Jew, but he survived the Holocaust, and he kind of like went onto this like journey of exploration. Like, why do humans survive? Like, why did they survive? Why didn't they survive? Like, what gives people the drive, the motivation to persevere, to survive? And he came up with this idea that, you know, man's search for meaning, meaning that the meaning you attach to something can be so powerful that it can help you to be able to climb the highest mountain, to overcome the biggest hurdle, to overcome the biggest challenge. If you have the meaning, if your why is strong enough. Why am I doing this? What's the importance? What's the purpose of this? Even if it's made up. It can be made up. Doesn't matter. It's not true. But that's what you're telling yourself? That's your keter. That's your pnimiut aratzon. And he was totally ridiculed amongst the colleagues in the psychiatric community in was it Austria? Somewhere in Europe. And he was so broken because of the ridicule, he literally was just going to quit. He was going to throw all of his life's work away, and he was going to emigrate to Australia. And like a day before, just forget about it. Just like, I'm just going to, I don't know. I'm just going to go on a walkabout and hang out with the kangaroos. I'm done with this. Like a day before his flight to Australia, he gets a knock on the door. Yeah? And this woman shows up to his door, and she's like, Dr. Frankl? He's like, yes. She's like, I have a message for you from the Lubavitcher Rebbe in New York.
Come on.
No, I'm serious. It's a true story. I have a message for you from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He says, Shkoich, Sharkoach, continue the work you are doing. You are doing great things. It gave him such koach, right? This secular guy, like no connection to like the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Chabad, like Jewish, like nothing. He was living with the non-Jewish woman. I think she was the one that actually opened the door. The guy who's telling the story, the non-Jewish woman opened the door, the woman that he was living with, and they're like, is Dr. Frankl here, right? And she's like, hold on, gets him. She's like, I have a message from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He says, keep going. You're doing good things. And it's like, it totally like put him on fire, canceled the flight to Australia, and continued to work, and became like Viktor Frankl, right? Man's search for meaning and everything that we know. Meaning, understanding the importance of the meaning that you attach to what you were doing. What is the kavanah? What is the pnimiut aratzon? That if you understand this, then you can tap into energy, you can tap into koach, you can tap into strength to be able to do things that you maybe never thought you could do. That's where we are in this generation, that someone needs to imagine themselves that they have the ability to illuminate the entire world. I'm not on the sidelines anymore. I'm not a spectator. I am a warrior of light, and my job is to transform this world. I'm not in this world for me. I'm not in this world for my own personal growth and development. Sorry, I hope my life coaching teachers don't get all mad at me, right? Because the whole world today is like, it's about you. It's about your growth. It's about your transformation, right? And it's very noble, that's very great, but you have to understand that's the chitzoniyut ratzon. That's the external ratzon. That's the means to get to the end. To get to the end is to make this world a dwelling place for the divine. How do I do that? Mitzvahs. Now, how do I have the financial freedom? How do I have the super uber health? How do I have all of the things that I need in this life to allow me to be able to learn Torah and do mitzvahs in the best way possible? So personal growth, transformation, going beyond your limiting beliefs, all that stuff. It's true. It's amazing. I teach that. But that's not the goal. That's not the goal. Go to the landmark. I don't know, again, landmark, whether it's, going to a Tony Robbins seminar or something like that. Transformation, personal transformation, right? Take charge of your life. You don't have to be a victim anymore, right? Amazing, amazing. Except that's the means to a higher purpose.
The first part of let my people go so they may serve me.
So they may serve it, that's right. That's right.
Do the personal transformation.
That's the ultimate goal. I need to be in an optimal state of health, wealth, sound body, sound mind, so that I can truly serve in the way that I came to this world to serve. So that's the chitzoniyut ratzon versus the pnimiyut ratzon. That's called being a merkava. Wow. I went on a rant again, didn't I? Tov, bye kids.